On this episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast, we talk about Far Away from the Sun by Sacramentum. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
We're two professional broadcasters. We like metal. We like to talk about it. And now that it's January, we're going to be talking about black metal. And I feel like the title is appropriate because I feel that we are far away from the sun.
Right. Well,
at this point.
Is this the farthest from the sun the Earth, or at least the northern hemisphere gets?
A couple weeks ago,
Right, okay.
winter solstice would have been, I think, technically the point when the Earth was furthest from the sun, I think.
Yeah, because it's an ellipse.
Yes.
Yeah.
'Cause the equinoxes are the 2 points where they are closest, I'm fairly certain. And then the solstices are the points where they are furthest away. But because the Earth is tilted on its axis, one equinox is during the winter, one equinox is during the summer, and which one is which depends on what hemisphere you live in.
Right.
But yeah, the Earth's orbit is elliptical.
But right now, people in Australia are hanging out in the backyard by the pool.
Exactly. Trying not to die because it's extremely hot.
And it's Australia.
And it's Australia, and there's a bunch of animals that want to kill you.
Plants, animals, Australians.
And up here, we're trying not to die because it's so fucking cold.
Hey, here's the good news, though. Over the weekend, it's going to get much fucking colder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Like, I think it's already been this cold this year, but what we're expecting soon is definitely the worst it's been so far.
Right.
It happens every fucking January.
I know, and we bitch about it every fucking January.
Yeah. Like, I feel like we as North Dakotans like to talk a big game when we go abroad about how we're used to it getting so cold. I think down to a certain temperature we'll be tough about it, and it'll be okay. Like you were talking, today about how when you lived in Atlanta, people's minds were blown that you were comfortable outside when it was 45 degrees.
Right. My short sleeves and my thong.
But I think there's just a limit of human biology.
Sure.
I didn't miss that. By the way. I had already started talking. I didn't want to.
Just glossing
it's over with.
Never mind.
But there's just a limit of human biology where it doesn't matter how tough you think you are. -5 is not livable. Like, you get down to a certain point, it stops mattering.
Right. Yeah. You have to imagine that even old Norse Vikings, coming out of their home, coming out of their their dirt. Wood.
Their solution when it got this cold was to just not go outside.
Right.
That's why you had a store of food inside, or like buried in maybe like a root cellar or something like that under your longhouse or something like that, where you only had to go outside for a couple minutes maybe.
Right.
Before you immediately went back in. You would store up food for a while so you didn't have to be outside. Like... And I guess another thing, like, I guess I don't know how cold it actually gets in, like, southern Scandinavia where most of the people live.
Right.
In your Stockholms and Oslo and whatnot. Because it's close to the ocean. It's close to big bodies of water, which are pretty good at regulating temperature. And they got that. They're up near that North Atlantic current that keeps...
well, we're near a big body of water.
Yeah, that Lake Sakakawea, so big.
And Souris River.
Yeah, absolutely. The nearest body of salt water is Hudson Bay.
Yeah.
It's 800 miles to the northeast.
Yep.
Which there's a part of me that would love to go up to Churchill at some point. It just seems like a neat... I don't know if you can actually drive all the way to Churchill. I think you do have to fly at some point. I think I've looked at that. It seems likely that Google likely just has not mapped any roads that led that way.
Right.
I checked up that direction. I was like, are there actually roads that lead to Churchill? And I don't know if there are roads. I don't know if they connect to what we've got access to down here. Like, there are roads in town, but I don't know if there are roads
connecting town to somewhere else.
Yeah, from anywhere else that head into Churchill.
And everybody talks a certain way in Churchill.
We'll fight them on the beaches. And of course they're talking about the polar bears.
Right.
It is wild to me that there is only one border between us and a place where there is polar bears.
Yeah.
Like I forget constantly that there are polar bears in northern Manitoba.
Yeah.
Like it's not, you forget how far north Manitoba stretches.
It does.
It goes on and on and on and on.
Yeah, because you look at the map, like we used to go, because my ex-wife's sister lives in Brandon.
Okay.
So I used to go, wow, well, Brandon's
like
way up there.
An hour and a half north of us.
Right, it is.
Yeah.
Because you look at the rest of all of the rest of the population of Canada, they turn to the north and go, no, fuck that.
I'm not going that way.
I'm not going that way.
We want to hang out with you.
Yeah.
We'll stay here within 200 miles of the border.
Right.
Don't want to go fucking up there. What the hell?
There's
nothing up there for us.
Nothing grows. Nothing's alive.
Yeah. It's just you and the reindeer.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think it would be neat to head up there at some point and just see it.
Sure.
It seems like a neat place. You go see polar bears. I don't know if they have whale stuff. There's probably like
narwhals and
probably
things.
Narwhals and belugas. I think there are at least belugas that head into Hudson Bay.
It sounds like an old-timey horn when you say that.
Beluga?
Beluga!
Belugas are wonderful animals.
They are.
They've got the playfulness and intelligence of a dolphin without all of the fucking horrifying things that dolphins seem to do.
Yeah. Did you know there used to be a website? I don't know if it still exists, but it's dolphinsex.net. It was on the internet.
And I'm not surprised.
Yeah, it was
the internet.
Right, and it was like pages upon pages on how to have a proper sexual relationship with a dolphin.
I mean, the thing is there is scientific research that's happened. Like, not this. The science that was happening wasn't about how to have a sexual relationship with a dolphin. It's just that's what one of the scientists ended up doing.
Right, and then the dolphin killed itself when she quit the project.
There was a context. If you don't know what we're talking about, and we probably are going to get stuff wrong here, but there was a research project in the 60s, I think, that the idea was trying to find a way to communicate with dolphins, or I think it was just cetaceans in general.
Sure.
But they specifically focused on dolphins, like trying to figure out if we could teach them language or that sort of thing.
We could figure out what they were saying.
Yeah, they're highly intelligent. And there was all kinds of absolutely wacky bullshit that happened, including giving a bunch of these dolphins various different drugs, including LSD, most notably. And one of the female researchers ended up basically in a weird sort of sexual relationship with one of the dolphins, where she was like masturbating it, or she was like jerking the dolphin off or something like that. Like, I don't remember the full story.
Yeah, but
it's a real thing that happened. I don't know how you would look it up in a way that's open up an incognito tab.
Yeah,
but
at work.
At work.
Yeah.
No. But yeah, it's. I remember reading that for the first time and going like, "Man, the '60s were a weird time."
Yeah, they were. I mean, LSD. Come on.
It's like it's on the same level of like, it's weirder and it's funnier, but it's on the same level of like scientific malpractice as like the Stanford prison experiment.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Like.
Yeah.
No one at any point thought like, hey, maybe this is not ethical. No, at no point did anyone. Ironically, the most immoral thing about the experiment designed to test people's morals was the fact that they held the experiment at all.
Right. The experiment itself was amoral.
Yeah.
Or immoral.
I think just straight up immoral, like putting people through that shit.
Right.
And it was scientifically invalid anyway.
Right.
Because they didn't do the experiment right.
Right.
There were multiple procedural mistakes that ended up being we can't really rely on this information. We can't this isn't clean info. So yeah, this is a weird time. It's always been. I think humanity's always been weird.
Yeah.
But the 60s were a kind of a wild west of weirdness when it comes to science.
I can only imagine if I was in that experiment that I walked and I sat down, and before they even said anything to me, I'd just start smashing that button.
That's a different one.
Oh, that's a different one. Right.
But it's in a very similar vein. It was, I can't remember what that one was called, but you press a button and you were told that button would cause extreme physical pain to another person.
Then they had someone in the other room just go
screaming in agony or something like that. And it was basically will you keep doing this if we just tell you have to? What is people's limits to inflicting pain on another person just because they're told to? And I can't remember what that one was called. Both of these are classic Sociology 101, which is where I learned about both of them for the first time.
Here's what not to do in science.
Yeah. It was I took a sociology class in college and learned about that as like you said, as a negative example.
Yeah. I think I learned that in sociopathy as well.
Sociopathy?
Yeah.
What's sociopathy?
Oh, it's how you learn to be a sociopath.
Wouldn't that be sociopathology?
Sociopathology? Okay, yeah.
Something like that?
Yeah. I was the only guy in the room.
Yeah. How you doing, by the way? We skipped last week.
Yeah, how's your year so far?
Hey! 2025 is all right. We skipped last week, by the way, because
you were under the weather.
Yeah. I was not feeling great the night before. I woke up in the middle of the night. This was the day after Christmas, by the way. Last Thursday, I woke up at some ungodly hour with pretty horrendous gut pain that would slowly get worse over the course of a couple of minutes. Just these pulses of just intense pain down in my lower digestive tract. That would then go away for a couple of minutes, and then it would come back, and this lasted somewhere between 10 minutes and a half hour. I don't know how long. But I was spending some time in the bathroom trying to see if my colon was going to explode.
Yeah.
And nothing happened, and eventually the pain stopped or lessened to a degree where I could go back to sleep. But the following morning, or not the following morning, that morning when I woke up for work, I immediately shit my brains out.
Yeah. And then you got out of bed.
And then I got out of bed.
Yeah.
So whatever the problem was, took care of itself, but I was not able to reclaim that lost sleep. And so when I got home from work, I sat down and was just staring at the ceiling going, I can't have a conversation with another human being today.
Yeah, or OJ.
Because you're not human in my mind. You're something else. No, I was I can't. I need to go to bed. I can't talk about music. So yeah, we took a gap week, and that way our first black metal album of the year is actually in January.
Yes, so it works out.
It worked out.
It worked itself out. It was painful getting through, but then at the end of the next morning.
Yeah. I don't want to blame my mother's prime rib that she made.
I'm sure it wasn't that.
It may have been a variety of different things because I ate a lot of things that my body is maybe not used to eating and I ate a lot because it was Christmas, and I drank a lot of alcohol.
Oh, yeah, that does it too. I'm not accustomed to drinking a lot of alcohol anymore.
Yeah, so you say as I have a glass of absinthe next to me. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Right.
But so that was the thing. How was your holidays? Because you had the whole corridor off.
I did, because a lot of times you'll ask for it off.
Yeah,
and then
because I usually have a lot of time left, and I don't this year.
Which I did. I'm like I'm gonna beat him to the punch.
Yeah,
and I did. I took between Christmas and January 2nd off.
Yeah,
we came back to work today. It was a good time. Had a great adventure in another town.
The town of Williston, North Dakota.
Yeah.
What a lovely place, Williston. Everyone has nothing but good things to say about Williston.
It's kind of bizarre. The town itself is kind of bizarre.
I have no memory of ever going to Williston. I'm certain I've been there, but I remember absolutely nothing about it.
Right. Yeah, the whole time you feel like I'm either in Williston, North Dakota, or I'm at a train station in Honduras. I'm not sure. It's something like that. There's
it's a weird liminal space, is what you're saying?
Yeah, and there's so many. What I loved is like the diverse community. There's a huge, diverse of different people from different backgrounds and stuff like that. But they're all there for the same reason, to make a quick buck drilling for oil.
Yeah,
and so.
They're kind of a rougher crowd.
It's
maybe.
A rougher crowd. They're a bit, yeah.
Don't want to play into stereotypes necessarily, but that's just kind of how the oil field is.
They're actually called roughnecks.
Yeah.
It's
a tough job, and there's not a lot of people who are. I don't want to say there's not a lot of people who are willing to do it, but statistically speaking, there's not a lot of people who are willing to do it. It's difficult and dangerous.
Do it when it's 20 below.
Yeah, when it's this fucking cold outside.
And when you find out, part of North Dakota is on fire, it's usually around there somewhere because...
like earlier this year.
Yeah.
Because technically parts of North Dakota are always on fire because of all the flaring and whatnot.
Right.
But
that's another weird thing. Driving
at night. Through western North Dakota is weird.
Yeah, really weird. Especially when the first time I went to go visit, the cloud cover was, I swear, it was no more than like 200 feet.
Yeah.
It was, the cloud cover was really low, and there was these fires coming out of the ground all over the place. I'm like, this has got to be what it's like driving into hell.
I'm driving through Mordor right now.
Ooh, I got to bring you those discs back.
Yeah, I forgot. I thought about that earlier today, and then I forgot to mention that to you.
Honestly, I haven't completely finished disc 6.
I don't think. I don't think any of the. Actually, are any of the movies split into 2 discs?
They're all split into 2 discs.
Really?
All 3 of them are, yeah.
Man, I didn't think. I thought Blu-rays would be able to handle the whole movie on one disc.
No, you get to the middle part, and there's piano music, so and then let's go out to the lobby.
Peter Jackson. I'm remembering.
Famously.
Now that you mention it, there is continued on disc 2.
Right, and he's in the movies twice. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I think he's. I don't know.
At least twice, maybe more than twice.
I don't know if I've seen his cameo in, because he probably has. He has to have a cameo in Return of the King.
He does. He gets shot by Legolas.
That's right. He's one of the
pirates. Yeah.
Oh yeah, one of the pirates. I wanted to say one of the Haradrim, but that's not right. Yeah, he's one of the Corsairs.
Yes.
Because I think that cameo got cut in the theatrical version. I think that's an extended edition scene where you actually get to see any of the Corsairs, because in the theatrical version, all you hear is, I don't know if you actually hear anything. Because you don't see anything of the Corsair fleet until they show up at Gondor, and the three of them, the 3 of them get off. All of that got cut out of the theatrical version.
So in the theatrical version, do they actually talk to the cursed dead? I mean,
they have a conversation, but the last thing that's seen, I think, the last thing you see in the theatrical version is, I think Aragorn has his sword like pointed at the crowd and going like, "What say you?" And then you don't see anything of them again, I think, until they show up at Pelennor Fields.
Right.
That's how I remember it anyway. Mm-hmm. Some of the stuff involving the Army of the Dead, I honestly could do without in the extended edition, like the comical avalanche of skulls.
Yeah.
I could do without that bit. But yeah, a lot of that stuff got cut from the theatrical, including Peter Jackson's cameo.
By the way, that would be a great band name.
Avalanche of Skulls?
Yes.
Just something very Warhammer 40K about
yeah.
that. Avalanche of Skulls.
Yeah. It's a bolt thrower tribute band.
Yeah. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
I finished Death Stranding last night.
Yep.
I say finished in quotation marks because there's some other stuff that I'm probably going to do. Mm-hmm. There's a little bit of post game content. I don't know if there's anything in particular to do, but
right.
I'm gonna at least check it out. It was like 9:00 last night, and I hadn't eaten since like 11 because I had just been playing the game, going like, it'll probably be done in like an hour, right? Mm-hmm. And it just kept going. I was like I could probably finish up whatever's left pretty quick. Nope, it kept going. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, I found it. I really liked the game. It's weird. The writing is bizarre and deeply idiosyncratic in a way that Hideo Kojima games always are. Mm-hmm. So if you have any idea who he is and have an understanding that, like, yeah, all his games are kind of weird. Mm-hmm. It's like David Lynch. It's weird, but it's good.
Right.
Because every moment of, like, really bizarre, sort of awkward conversations between people is balanced out by a lot of really well acted and delivered earnest emotion from compelling characters that maybe are just not so great at talking to other people.
Right, that's like going back to 1982's Dune.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, it's weird. Yeah, it might be kind of awkward, but it's still compelling. It's still fun to watch. Mm-hmm. And I feel like Kojima's writing is like that a lot, where it's weird, but that doesn't make it bad. And the people who are involved in it are committed to making it what it is. So like I teared up multiple times.
Sure.
Throughout the game, various different cutscenes of characters talking about stuff they've been through or things happening. You know, just a scene of Mads Mikkelsen hugging Norman Reedus.
Made you all weepy.
Tears.
Yeah. Wow.
Tears. Yeah. It's good stuff.
Mm-hmm. That was in the game, right?
Yeah, that was in the game.
It's not just a photo you saw.
No, it's not something I made up. It's not something from one of my fan fictions. No. But yeah, the gameplay, I would say, for most of what you need to be doing 90% of the time, is really well crafted. The fact that the game can make a whole game out of, okay, take this box over there and give it to somebody.
Right.
And have that be interesting and make compelling mechanics out of just walking around is very interesting.
It'd be funny if in the sequel, it's Death Stranding 2, What Can Brown Do For You? Yeah.
But like that's most of what you're going to be doing moment to moment is walking around through progressively more intense environments. But like it's sort of as long as you are like not trying to rush through everything, not sprinting over everything, constantly tripping over rocks, like taking your time, you know, getting an understanding of like what can I walk over, what can't, what should I walk around. It's the way you do when you walk around normally. If you're walking around outside and not like on the sidewalk, you need to kind of like plan where you're going to walk so you don't trip over shit.
Right.
You got to play the game that way. So as long as you're doing that, you'll be all right. But there are definitely moments like where combat starts, where like you'll have bandits that try to steal your shit, or terrorists who will try to kill you. And like you get weapons and that sort of thing, but the gameplay starts to show some cracks in how clunky it becomes the more frantic the pace gets.
Oh, sure.
It definitely has some issues with like animation jank, where like and input lag and that sort of thing.
Was this on your PC you were playing it?
No, I was playing it on my PlayStation.
Oh, okay.
Because I was like, I don't use my PlayStation enough. Let's find a game that will get me out on the couch for a while.
That reminds me, I left my PlayStation on when I left town, and it didn't dawn on me until I reached my destination. I'm like, crap.
Probably turned itself off, right?
Not when you're watching a movie.
Oh,
because that's what I was doing.
You're in the middle of the movie.
I was in the middle of the movie, and I just turned my TV off, and it played in my head. And then it played in my head, oh, shit, I also forgot all my meds, my old man meds. And so that I had to have somebody who was on their way to town stop by my apartment.
And pick up your stuff.
Turn off my PlayStation and get my meds.
Please bring me my medicine. Also turn off my PlayStation.
Also, I told you about this story from last night. This was interesting. I was sitting there watching Return of the King, and I had somebody all of a sudden parked in my front yard.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Yeah, it was awesome. He was out there trying to shovel out because there's a shitload of snow on my street, and he's not having a great time. I see his license plate says Texas on it, and I'm like, oh, okay, can't blame the guy.
Newbie doesn't know what he's doing.
Right. So I go out there, and I was actually able to use my car to tow him out. That's the first time I've ever had a vehicle.
Hell yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, and then I found out he's my new neighbor. Yeah.
An interesting first interaction.
Yeah. He's in the yard with his car.
Yeah. Having to get yanked out and having some permanent damage done to his chassis.
Right. Well,
because he doesn't have anything to hook onto or tie onto, apparently.
Well, his tie rope had a hook on one end and nothing on the other.
End, yeah.
So you had to kind of open up the engine bay, dangle it down in there, and then tie it up like he's tying his shoes.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. I promised, by the way, I was going to talk about absinthe.
Oh, right.
Because we were talking about it a couple weeks ago or whatever, and then you were at the Marketplace liquor store on North Broadway, and you saw a bottle of absinthe. They had a bottle of absinthe called Lucid, which is made in France. And so I was like, before New Year's, I was like, yeah, let's just get something to celebrate New Year's. Why not? And I've been wanting to try it for a couple of years at this point, ever since I found it like, it's actually legal. It's you can import it now. And I have given it a try, and I'm ambivalent. Yeah, I'm ambivalent about it. I'm lukewarm on it, which is also, I guess, the temperature that this is now.
Well, yeah, because it's been in your hand.
Yeah,
I could have down.
I guess I could have put ice in it. I have not tried it straight, because that's not how you're supposed to drink it anyway.
Right. Because
the flavors are ludicrously intense, and also it's extremely high alcohol content.
What is the alcohol content?
I think that is 68% or something like that. 68% ABV.
Oh, okay. Yes, I guess that would be 136.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cause like a bottle of bourbon is 40% ABV.
Right.
80 proof.
80 proof.
So yeah, like the alcohol content is significant, which is why it's traditionally drunk, diluted with. It is traditionally drunk, and also the most popular way to drink it is by diluting it with water and a bit of sugar.
Right.
Which is what I've done, and I just, part of my brain is like, you're not doing it right because you're not enjoying it as much as you should, or as much as you want to. So my brain's like, maybe I'm not doing it the right way.
You probably are. It's just not your cup of tea.
Yeah, I think it's just not my cup of absinthe.
Yeah.
Well, it is my cup of absinthe,
right.
But I don't. I think herbal liqueurs just maybe aren't for me.
Right.
It's possible.
Right. Maybe you stick to your Malort.
Yeah, because I love Malort, and I've definitely tried it.
Yeah, there was one thing that my father-in-law always traditionally drank at Christmas. And everybody had a shot of it. I'm like, cool, I've never had this before. And you took a shot of it, and then you go, oh, wow, cool, I never want to have that again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is just an aperitif.
Oh yeah, those are always those are always just fucking ugh. I don't know of any like American who likes them. It seems like it's a real big like Eastern Europe thing.
Yeah,
is these extremely intense like herbal liqueurs that are very considered very traditional, but it always seems like people say that with like a wink, like
right.
like oh we love this stuff.
Wink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. There's a what the fuck is that Chinese thing I was telling you about that's like the worst tasting alcohol in the world or whatever, Kaoling wine or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Even though it's not wine. I can't remember what it's distilled from, but I don't know why they call it wine, but there's a
juniper berries or something.
Yeah, it's apparently awful. Yeah, I think absinthe is growing on me a bit. Like I'm enjoying it right now, and it's the sort of thing where you can have a little sip of it, and the flavors will just kind of stick around for a while, and they're not bad flavors. If you hate licorice, as I understand, like proper licorice,
right?
If that's not your favorite thing, you're not going to enjoy it. But I don't know if I've ever had like honest to God proper licorice.
Yeah, you never know. I have a buddy that didn't find out he was allergic to licorice until he was an adult. I mean, he'd had Twizzlers and nibs and things like that all his life. He's like, I can have licorice. You want some licorice? Yeah. Now he has to carry a damn EpiPen on him everywhere he goes, just in case he comes into contact with licorice.
Yeah. But it's apparently, the flavor profile is similar to like a really strong like black licorice or something like that. But in general, I like things that have sort of strong, weird flavors.
Right. There's a lot of like an anise flavor in there.
Yeah, big anus flavor.
Yeah,
for sure.
Some anise.
Yep, anise is the. But yeah, I
potato asshole.
All right, potato asshole. All right, let's talk about Sacramentum.
Oh, yeah.
Which Sacramentum also sounds like it could be like a medical term for for something down south.
Yeah.
Like
around your sacrum.
Yeah, like it could be somewhere in the vicinity of the taint, I think.
Right. Sacramentum.
Oh, he got kicked right into Sacramentum. So anyway, did you hear about Tony? He tore open his Sacramentum skateboarding.
Oh man, he has to have a cast on his.
So, Far Away from the Sun is an album from 1996 by the black metal band, or melodic black metal is probably the most specific way to refer to them, band Sacramentum. They come from Sweden. They were formed in 1990, originally going by the name Tumulus, or perhaps Tumulus. They're from Falköping, Sweden. Falköping.
Yeah.
And got started, in the early 90s, and we're making music, and like a lot of metal bands, extreme metal bands getting started in that part of the world at that time, they sort of got swept up in the wave of black metal bands.
Right.
And we're making, various different, had made some demo tapes, some EPs in the earlier parts of their career until eventually they got around to doing some more serious recordings and ended up with their debut album, which is this, Far Away from the Sun. And by this point, black metal had already kind of begun to sort of develop past just the earliest days of as raw and as bad as possible with your mayhems and whatnot. I mean, that development started immediately. If you think of like Burzum, already sort of moving into more atmospheric and slightly more melodic areas.
Quality recording.
Yeah, and better quality recordings as well. And I was pleasantly surprised by this album as far as both the quality of the recording goes. This hits the recording quality here is in a really nice sweet spot.
Right.
Where it's not, we recorded this on a Fisher-Price toy in our drummer's basement. but it's also not super clean. So like it's in a night where you can tell it's vintage. You can tell that it was recorded maybe on a little bit of a budget, but also in a way where it's like we want it to sound this certain way. It's in a nice sweet spot where it feels natural. It feels right without being annoyingly like lo-fi.
Right.
There are a number of other, like Panopticon kind of hits in that sweet spot for me as well, because that tends to be the way that Austin records stuff, is sort of like it's good sort of analog or decent analog recording for the time.
Right.
This is definitely more. It's more melodic than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, there's some great riffs in here.
Yeah, there's really good riffs. There's like backing like orchestral stuff happening, which I was pleasantly surprised by as well. The vocals are also of like a nice quality where it's not whatever the fuck was happening on the first Mayhem album. With Sihar, is that his name? I don't even remember.
No,
Attila.
Attila.
I think his last name is Sihar or something like that.
The Hun.
Whatever the fuck Attila was doing on the first Mayhem album. It's like, no, this is the vocals are much more like death metal, honestly. Like more in line of like an earlier death metal band. They're not quite as croaky or as shrieky as most black metal vocals are.
That one sound that they made in the early days of the second wave. That sort of like
again, whatever the fuck Attila was doing.
Yeah.
To this day, like that's one of the only like important albums we've listened to that I just straight up didn't like. Like there a lot of the other albums that we've talked about, they're like, this is an important album in the history of metal. We talking about Black Sabbath's first album,
right?
Talking about Metallica, talking about
Number of the Beast.
I almost always enjoy those because there's a reason why they're classics, because they're good. I do not think that first Mayhem album is good, and I will die on this hill.
Yeah.
You suddenly, all your audio suddenly shifted to one ear, and I thought I was having a stroke.
Yeah.
That is happening. Yeah, it's the absinthe. Yeah. Famously, one of the things absinthe does is it makes you have a stroke. No, this was in a very good sweet spot as far as like listenability goes, by my standards anyway. I'm sure someone who doesn't listen to metal would find this incredibly unlistenable, but
sure.
This isn't for you.
Yeah, this is not Metal 101.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is
what's your deal? I feel like I phrased that like, what's your deal with this album? When did you first listen to this?
Honestly, just a couple of weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah.
What made you think of it then?
Well, I was like, I need to listen to more black metal. We got Black Metal January coming up.
Yeah.
What other could I delve into to enrich
your understanding of the genre?
Oh, the genre. And somebody say, hey, there's this really good Swedish band. I'm like, okay.
Let's check it out.
So I did. I'm like, okay, yeah.
They were right. Yeah. It is really good. I don't know. I don't know if I have like a ton to say about it.
It's kind of meat and potatoes.
Yeah. But in a way where it's like, I think because it has a little bit more of the melody, we've talked at length many different times about one of the things that really gets me attached to albums is, does it make me feel something other than like, this is very energetic? Like, can I connect to it emotionally? And I think some of the melodies definitely pull on maybe not the heartstrings necessarily, but they there's something more for me to latch on to that feels a bit more emotive than one would normally get on an album of this vintage and genre. And I appreciated the heck out of that.
Yeah.
I liked that. Again, I was pleasantly surprised. Not that I expected this to be bad, but I was kind of thinking like, it's a 90s Scandinavian black metal. I kind of know what this will sound like, and I'll probably enjoy it. But no, I liked this quite a lot. for what it was. This album slap.
Yeah.
I would say so as well.
Quite a bit.
I think this album definitely does slap for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So there, I didn't do a lot of research as far as scores for this. I don't know if there would be a lot for me to find, but Wikipedia did have 3 ratings on it, and they were all 80%. So I didn't have to do any math.
Nice.
Which is to say, I didn't have to pull out my calculator.
Because you can't average 3 things.
I can't average together 3 things. But I didn't have to because they were all the same number.
Nice.
They were all the same number, Kif. Yeah, what's your favorite song?
I think it changed when I listened to it like a second and third time. But I think Beyond All Horizons is...
Okay, that's pretty awesome. Yeah. It's a good song.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's also the mark of a good album when your favorite song changes every time you listen to it. I only listened to it all the way through the one time, but I put Cries from a Restless Soul. That main riff, I kind of just I got attached to it. I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
I my ears perked up and I went like that one. I like that one. And I just sort of I got into it. I don't know.
I was almost surprised you didn't say the last track on this one because
that's traditionally what I would say, and I like that track a lot.
Yeah, and he does like a lot of talking instead of the regular kind of vocals. He's like telling a story in high form.
Yes, but no, I like Cries from a Restless Soul the best. I did think it was kind of funny that this one was Cries from a Restless Soul, and then the next song is Obsolete Tears.
It's like call and response.
Yeah. Your tears are obsolete. Which feels like it could be a probably bad episode of Black Mirror.
Sure.
Your emotions are obsolete. We are better at being sad than you, or something like that. Right. I don't know.
I think I've only watched one episode of that show.
Really?
Yeah.
What episode was it? I haven't seen a single episode.
There was
of Black
something
Mirror.
involving technology and and turning on people, kind of.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I've never heard of such a thing happening in that show.
It was the one. It was the doll. It was the
doll.
It was a doll. It was a very popular doll, and it turned out to be evil.
Chucky?
Sorry, Jack.
So were all of the dolls evil, or was it just
all
this?
Of the doll,
okay, that's different.
All the versions of the dolls.
Because famously in Chucky, it's just the one doll.
Right. Because he has the spirit of a
serial killer.
Right. That
inside of it.
That was electrified.
I do remember seeing one clip of some Black Mirror episode where there was it was supposed to be like a little robot AI system that you have on your desk that could be like programmed to do certain things. And Miley Cyrus, who was playing almost like a fictional version of herself, had her like personality. She was murdered by like her manager or something, and had her personality uploaded into this robot. And she was like trying to figure out how to get back at him. And these 2 teenage girls are like, "What the fuck is going on?"
I think that's the same episode I saw.
Oh, really?
It might be.
Oh,
I don't. It was a long time ago.
I only saw some clips from it, and it was like.
Drunk. Yeah,
I saw some clips from it. I was like, "Oh, that's kind of neat," but
yeah,
I don't know. Black Mirror is one of those things where it seems like there was only one good season of it, and then every other season has been like, "Oh, there was a couple of good episodes."
Like American Horror Story for me.
Yeah,
it's sort of you have your season that you like.
Yeah,
and mine was the carnival season.
Yeah, I feel like any anthology show ends up being like that.
Yeah.
Where there's like one good season, and then after that, every season has a couple good episodes in it.
Right.
What medal do you bestow upon Far Away from the Sun, like Mazkanata to Chewbacca?
God, it's right on the cusp. I'm gonna say high silver.
Yeah, I agree with it. I say a high silver as well. I like it though.
I like it. Yeah,
I like it. Here's something I think you will like.
Yeah.
Where it's I don't know if I would hesitate to call it just black metal. It's black metal adjacent. It's definitely more of a black gaze album. It's by an album called Mule, M-O with a slash
Right.
L.
Yeah.
And it's called Jord. Jord.
Are they Scandinavian?
They might be.
Yeah.
I think they're Swedish. But yeah, it's a really good sort of it's very squarely a Black Gaze album. Like you listen to it and you go like, ah yes, Black Gaze.
Right.
Like it's 100% like we're riffing on the first couple Death Heaven albums here.
Okay.
But they do it really well.
All right.
And
Is it a newer album?
This one I think is from 2018. They have one that's newer than this, but I felt like this would be maybe a better introduction to the band.
All right.
It's the one that I've listened to more of, I would say. This is the band I think that probably gets recommended the most often when people are like, I like Death Heaven. What other bands are like Death Heaven that I would also enjoy? And everyone says, Mule. Mule. Mule.
They're having a fit. Are you okay? No, it's
the absinthe.
Yeah. There you go.
I'm taking a nice sip of it. Tastes like Gilded Age France. But anyhow, yeah, next week we'll talk about Mule. Jord.
All right.
Jord. By Mule. So until you hear from us then, why don't you go ahead and follow us on whatever. I don't do the social media thing anymore. That's right.
Yeah.
So why don't you go ahead and subscribe to our feed on whatever podcast service you use to listen to
Not
us.
YouTube at all anymore?
No, YouTube is there.
Okay.
I think. There's some friends of ours were talking about that, and I think they figured out that they had made some sort of mistake or something. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think YouTube is still there. I don't know.
You mean this YouTube channel?
Yeah.
YouTube is definitely still there.
Yeah, YouTube. Yeah, no, YouTube. The website is still there.
Yeah.
But I think our uploads still go there. I haven't checked on it in a while.
Yeah.
It's on the list of things that Libsyn is supposed to automatically upload the audio to. So I don't fucking know.
Let us know.
What we won't know.
Call Kale at 701.
If anyone has, I feel like anyone who has communication usually just goes directly to you through some.
Yeah, it's like Snapchat.
Yeah. Somewhere. You are effectively our social media person.
Yeah, they contact on Discord or FetLife or something like that.
That would be the weirdest. Anyway,
Yeah,
we're ending the episode. Thank you very much for listening to another episode of the Bronze Medalist Podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
Congratulations.